Strange arrival. Fortunately, I am the king of 10 halls. Introduction. A supernatural thriller game that descends. Randomly select players to enter the eerie dungeon. Everyone is immersed in fear, surviving in the cracks. Until the game selected Shen Jian, who was worried about rebuilding the underworld. As players struggle to survive in the thrilling world, Shen Jian watches the midnight bell with Sadako. When the player is fleeing in the thrilling world, Shen Jian is having a heart-to-heart conversation with the mysterious Buddha mother. As players search for vitality in the thrilling world, Shen Jian has rebuilt the underworld, allowing the underworld to descend. Watching Shen Jian become the Yin Emperor, the players collectively shed tears. Big brother, are you serious? Your art style is not right. Chapter 1. I have a date with a witch. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. If you had a system, what would you do? Shen Jian, who graduated from college, sat in front of the computer, opened a puzzle, and wrote down the real story he had just made up. He awakened the system. That is, the protagonist's golden finger in the novel. Following the normal routine, he will reach the pinnacle of his life. Punching team leader, kicking supervisor. But his awakened system. Accompanied by deceit. But Shen Jian remained calm at all. According to the novel's routine, any system awakened will have some mysterious power added to the world. Awakening the heavenly master system, feng shui will come true. Awakening the divine medicine system, death god elementary school possessed. Awakening and adding points to the system, unleashing all the eerie demons. And his companion system with eerie, as the name suggests, is related to eerie. Shen Jian originally thought that he could see the eerie on the road, and all the neighbors nearby were eerie. The world was full of eerie appearances. Mysterious revival, the world is like a prison. But reality gave him a hard beating. This world there's no trickery. He searched the world for monsters for 3 months without finding a single one. Shen Jian was confused. Accompanied by deceit, what if there is no deceit? Thinking of this, he couldn't hold back any longer. I can't even open for 3 months. He is probably the weakest among the system owners. Lost the faces of countless protagonists. System, why don't you change your profession? How about adding some systems in the city? If this continues, we will starve to death. Shen Jian sighed with melancholy. These days, various industries are competing. Those who don't know how to adapt like systems will eventually retire with honor. System. Just as Shen Jian was feeling melancholy, a black semi-transparent panel suddenly appeared in front of him. You have been selected for a thriller game, note. This is a 100% realistic thriller game, where players die in the game and the reality synchronizes with death. Note. The game unfolds in the form of dungeons, which contain a large number of monsters. To pass through the dungeons, find out the patterns of monsters and avoid the killing methods of monsters. Note. When players settle dungeons, rewards will be given based on their performance in the game. Anything you want can be obtained in the game. Note. New players have the authority to reduce task difficulty. Rows of black font constantly appear on the panel. Shen Jian was shocked. Looking at the spring scenery all over my eyes. Just want your eyes to show love. He ignored other messages. I only saw one point. It's weird. This thriller game, TM, is creepy. Shen Jian's breathing became a bit rapid. Nowadays, finding a job is difficult, and finding a job is even more difficult. He hasn't opened for a whole 3 months, and the system is like a tasteless white flower body, neither shouting nor shouting. He is ready to intervene and go back to accept his superior's PUA. A thriller game. That's amazing. Shen Jian immediately confirmed. The panel is still spitting out words, very cheerful. Welcome to the thriller game, checking player information. New player detected, Please fill in player nickname. Shen Jian paused for a moment and pondered for a second. King of Yen Luo, the nickname is already in use. Shen Jian. Yen Luo Wang Ben Zun. Successfully established nickname, player template loading. Loading completed, properties are as follows. Player. Yen Luo Wang Ben Zun, identity. King of Hell. Ability. Demon and Divine Power, Sen Luo Ghost Aura. Note. When facing you, all monster attack defenses are reduced by 99%. Note. Accompanied by Li Gui, your abilities will be infinitely enhanced. Strength. 20, the limit for ordinary people is 10, speed. 20, the limit for ordinary people is 10, Yin Qi. 20, level. 0, look at the information above. Shen Jian's mouth twitched. Unable to bear to look directly. That's right, he had a showdown. He is the King of Hell. The most famous 10-hall King of Hell in the mythology of the underworld. This is the initial character that the system rewards him. The pressure of ghosts and gods, while the Sen Luo ghost energy is the exclusive passive of the King of Hell. In front of him, no matter what level of monster it is, its attributes will decrease by 99%, becoming like a vegetable chicken. Meanwhile, as long as he stays by the side of the monster, his Yin energy will endlessly increase. Truly achieving the ability to become stronger even while lying down. The ability to defy the heavens came to an end due to the inability to find the deceit. Talking too much is like tears. Just thinking about it, everything in front of me began to change. Loading. Theme. The Villa of Reincarnation. Number of participants in the game. 1 person. There are new players, and the difficulty of the dungeon has decreased. The game will start in 5 minutes. Wishing players a happy time. A hint of chilly coldness echoed in Shen Jian's ear, causing him to tremble slightly. This is not fear. It's excitement. He looked around. I found myself halfway up the mountain. Looking up, in front of me was a building full of Yin Qi and a gloomy atmosphere. Shengsheng Villa. Task tip. You are a traveler from the Shengsheng Villa. Go to the front desk of the villa, collect your number plate, and spend a thrilling night. Your goal is only one. To live. Shen Jian walked in. Apart from being a bit pitch black and quiet, built on a secluded mountainside, with occasional gentle breeze rustling from the trees and the ability to see one's own long reflection, this is indeed an ordinary mountain villa. At midnight, the villa is still open for business. There is a faint light shining through inside. It looks no different from reality. At most, it's a bit nostalgic. At most, the Yin energy has become stronger. Rich enough to directly give birth to monsters. It's normal, isn't it? He came right. There's really something eerie here. Walking into the mountain villa. Yin Qi becomes more intense, and a feeling of Yin swish rises from behind, making people unable to resist trembling. A pale-faced waitress stood at the front desk, her mouth cut open like a cracked woman, revealing an incredibly penetrating smile. Peel out his eyes and stare blankly at the players passing by. Shen Jian frowned. This appearance. It can also be considered as having a clear appearance. At this point, he also showed a brilliant smile. Strode to the front desk. Before the waitress could even speak, Shen Jian grabbed the waitress's hand, which was a bit cold, but also soft and boneless, and could still chew. Shen Jian invited. Is it a date? Waitress. Is it scheduled? A human wants to date a female witch with her. I'm like this, can you still talk? The waitress suddenly felt a little frightened. I want to draw a hand. But it was discovered that Shen Jian's strength was terrifying. She is a white-clad ghost, unable to shake off a new player. Damn it. As Shen Jian held the waitress's hand, his Yin energy seemed to boil inside him. A sense of comfort swept throughout the body. This is the ability of Senro's ghost energy. The longer he stays by Li Gui's side, the faster his yin qi grows. The higher the level of Li Gui, the more Li Gui there are, and the faster the growth rate of yin qi. His current physical fitness relies on the improvement brought about by Senro's ghostly ability. Yin qi +1. Watching the changes in the numbers on the panel, Shen Jian felt very happy. The gaze towards the waitress became increasingly gentle. Sure enough, she has clear eyebrows and beautiful eyes, and a small family is jade. The lips that almost crack to the edge of the ears are like those cherry lips. The hollow gaze is even more charming. There is a damn profound beauty. Echoing the pale face, what is Yu reading at www.yuukangshu.net? This is a rhythm that combines yin and yang. He finds the front desk too troublesome. I want to get closer to you. An information prompt suddenly appears. Warning. In newcomer mode, players are prohibited from sexually harassing the servers of the past life villa, otherwise they will be expelled from the game. Shen Jian. He drew his hand. The smile suddenly came to an end. With a faint smile on his face, he said, I am a guest of the Xingxing Villa. I will come and get my room card. Waitress, I'm not buying it, you just looked like you wanted to eat me. Who the hell are we ghosts? The waitress felt an earthquake in her heart, but her smile became even more friendly. This is your room card, please keep it safe. Thank you. Shen Jian took the opportunity to wipe the oil again, and his yin energy was surging. This makes the waitress even more afraid. Quickly withdraw your hand. I feel so wrong that I can't bear it. A look of a chaste and martyred woman who has been teased and wants to get angry, but she is holding back room 101. Task tip. Stay overnight in room 101 and check out tomorrow at December 2000, noon. Note. You are watching TV, and the TV is also watching you. Get your room card. Shen Jian bid farewell to the waitress. Passing through the long tunnel on the second floor, we arrived at the innermost room. 101, on the door, one bloody handprint after another appeared. The lights in the corridor flickered. Sometimes dark and sometimes bright. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. The eerie here is a bit lively and mischievous. He can't wait anymore. Chapter 2. Me and Sadako watching the midnight ring. You are listening at novel full.audio. Walk into 101. This is an ordinary warm-colored room with 2 bedrooms. The furniture is complete in every aspect. Shen Jian inspected the area and did not find any abnormalities. Detected player entering room. The game officially begins. Copy. Xingxing Villa. Content. This is a transit station to the human world, a habitat for all spirits full of grievances. They live here for a long time, please do not disturb their sleep. Number of players. 1 person. Main task. Survive and check out tomorrow at December 2000, noon. Friendly reminder. You are watching TV, and the TV is also watching you. Difficulty. 1 star, difficulty reduced, the crimson script disappears. Shen Jian's gaze turned to the TV. Large screen 120-inch LCD TV. It's still blue light. Keep up with the times. The game is also being updated. Shen Jian turned on the TV. Lying down on the sofa. Zizizi, the TV screen suddenly turned white. A piercing sound sounded. Next the TV content automatically changes. A dry well appears in the picture. The gloomy environment combined with the sound of fingernails rubbing against the ground makes people unable to help but feel uneasy. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. He seems to know who it is. On screen. A strange creature dressed in white emerged from the dry well. Approaching with stiff movements. Getting closer and closer. Arrived at the edge of the TV screen. The next moment, a chilling scene occurred. First, a strand of hair protrudes from the TV screen. Then there is the head with loose hair. Next is the upper body. A pale and eerie hand reached out the screen and grabbed onto the floor of the room, creaking incessantly. A head stuck out with an indistinct face. Her hair was draped loose, gradually crawling out of the TV. A gruesome roar echoed through the room. The lights began to flicker. You really are Sadako. It's a foreign monster. He is a mythical Yenluo king from the underworld, and even the local monsters have not caught a single one. Unexpectedly, he will cross the border to catch the foreigners. Okay, that's okay. Upon reflection, Shen Jian realized that he didn't seem qualified to pick and choose either. So he stood up. Walked straight toward Sadako. Sadako. Degua, what are you doing here? Shouldn't we be so scared as to run away? I look down on people too much. Sadako was momentarily confused and instinctively took a few steps back. Sigh. It's stuck. It's been too long since I was scared, and I'm not familiar with the business anymore. Sadako was a bit panicked. Her upper body has already come out, but her lower body is stuck on the edge of the TV. The situation is somewhat awkward. Especially this new player is not afraid of her. He still has a smile on his face. I always feel that the other person's gaze is malicious. Come out, you. Shen Jian grabbed Jinzi's clothes and forcefully pulled her out. A condescending trial. Glancing towards the most attractive place. Good figure, the size of a grapefruit. His impression of Sadako is not as grand as this. It should be a new product. Especially when I climb out of the TV, twisting my slender waist and posture, without decades of dance training skills, I will never be able to practice them. A head of shiny black shawl hair, exuding an imperial style, is also a bonus. Not bad. Shen Jian's review. This should meet the requirements. Shen Jian's emotions were swirling. Glancing at the system task. Rebuild the underworld. That's right. This is his system task. As the king of 10 halls of hell, he wants to rebuild the underworld. However, in today's underworld, there is nothing but a Yenluo hall. He wants to establish a new order in the underworld. Let the 6 paths start their cycle again. Isolate the underworld from the mortal world. This is the ultimate goal. The first step is to make the Yenluo temple operational. He needs several prefectural staff. Commonly known as front desk. Sadako, it meets the requirements very well. The two sides are facing each other's gaze. Sadako realized her identity and her expression instantly became fierce. Roaring from the mouth. The loose hair seemed to have come to life, with long hair dancing and turning into vines entwining around Shen Jian's neck. Shen Jian grabbed it. A big pussy fanned past. Pop. A crisp sound. Sadako. Sadako covered her face, which had been fanned red, with a bewildered expression that grew even more melancholic. She looked up at Shen Jian with a melancholy expression reminiscent of Lin Daiyu, her face pale and aggrieved to the point of holding her chest and bowing her head. She is so big that she has never been slapped hard by humans before. And how can a human fan hurt her with a strange one? This is not scientific. Come here. Shen Jian spoke up. I took a photo of the vacant seat on the sofa. The pressure of ghosts and gods has weakened the defense of monsters by 99%, and they also have Yin energy, surpassing the power of normal humans. It is normal to fan pain a monster. If it weren't for the absence of strangeness in the real world, which prevented him from developing, Sadako, a monster that couldn't even be considered a white-clad ghost, would not have taken a serious look. Sadako stood up pitifully. Sitting on the sofa. A head of hair was still entangled in Shen Jian's hand. I can't even take it back. She wants to stay away from this human. I sat slightly to the right. Yin Chi +1 Shen Jian enjoyed this rare moment of strength enhancement. Just wait until noon like this, and the dungeon task will be completed. How Sadako handles it will not be under the control of the horror game. Shen Jian glanced at the game time. 12:10 According to the speed at which Yin Chi can be increased by a little in these 10 minutes, by tomorrow noon at 12 o'clock, he can add a total of 72 points of Yin Chi. It's really nice to have some tricks. The eerie atmosphere here is pleasing to the eye, and the speech is pleasant. He really likes this place. Shen Jian played with Sadako's hair as a medium for close contact. He looked at the TV. Without Sadako, the screen returned to normal. He clicked on the horror film category. Midnight Ring 1. Midnight Ring 2. Midnight Ring 3. Sadako fought against Gaia Coconut. Shen Jian selected the first part. Play. Sadako. It's too disrespectful, isn't it? Watching horror movies in front of her. Shen Jian had no choice. The long night is too boring to find anything to do. With the eerie music playing, the midnight bell officially plays. Sadako's expression gradually changed. The expression on his face, both wanting to be fierce and not daring to be fierce, gradually turned pale. Subconsciously, Shen Jian's hair tightened. My body is also leaning towards the left. You can vaguely see a slight tremble. Especially when the movie plot reaches a terrifying point, it completely covers the hair. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net. Shen Jian's mouth twitched. Afraid of ghosts. He couldn't help but touch Sadako. Ah! A mournful scream rang out. The hair is getting tighter. A small bird-like posture. Curled up, quietly lifting up a little more hair and continuing to peek. And then scream as time passed. Shen Jian pulled Jinzi to watch the Midnight Ring 6. The time has also arrived at 12 noon. But Shen Jian did not get up. He glanced at the time. 12:35. The settlement time has been exceeded by 35 minutes. He still lingers in room 101. It seems that the standard for completing the task is for him to check out with his room card, which is considered to have truly completed the task. I'm afraid even the official thriller game wouldn't have thought that some new players wouldn't want to check out after staying for a night. But I want to stay. Warning. Warning. Players staying in dungeons will trigger a red name, end their protection period early, and be attacked by all monsters in the dungeon. Please end the task immediately. The crimson font is revealed on the panel. Shen Jian ignored it. Keep going, today let's see your archenemy Jia Yezi. Looking at Sadako, who wanted to escape back to the TV, Shen Jian pulled her back in the other person's pitiful little eyes. How could he possibly let go of the free Yin Chi tool? At the same time, just as Shen Jian was watching a horror movie, a group of players were teleported over. There are a total of 4 people. Descending at the entrance of the Rebirth Villa. Chapter 3. Random entry into player dungeons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Reincarnation Villa is the most common type of 1-star dungeon, and you only need to spend 3 days in your room to complete the level. At the entrance of the Mountain Villa, a group of 4 people are exchanging intelligence. It is not difficult to see that these people are not experiencing thriller games for the first time. The middle-aged uncle, office worker, is sharing the news he has received. Everyone has experienced the new player dungeon, and you should know that this is not a joke. Once it fails, we don't have a second chance. We will discuss it in detail on the chat interface later. 3 people nodded. Although his face was pale, he still walked into the villa. Received room numbers 1 by 1. Office worker. I am room 202. Sister is the queen. I am room 303, brother and sister, please protect me. Grandpa is proud. Room 404, this number is too unlucky. Would anyone be willing to exchange it? White dove. This is bound and cannot be exchanged. I am 101. Office slave. Room 101 seems to be Sadako. This is the only detailed information released on the paranormal forum. You're lucky, as long as you don't turn on the TV, Sadako won't appear easily. White dove. I am most afraid of such well-known horror movies. The white dove took a deep breath. Walking anxiously on the long corridor on the second floor with some speculations. As a college student, what she fears the most is horror movies. As a well-known protagonist in horror films, Sadako's image has deeply penetrated people's hearts. She has some hair. Hold the room card. After a struggle in her heart, she finally opened the door. Woo-woo, a mournful female monster roared in her ear. The white dove was startled. I happened to see a female monster with deformed limbs jumping out of the TV, climbing stairs in a strange state. Fear swept over her whole body. Her entire pupils tremble. Television, did you open it yourself? This room looks like it's occupied no matter what. She has stiff movements. Highly focused. Touching the wall and moving cautiously. She cannot leave the room. Because the game has already started. Running out of the room now is the most dangerous thing. This is a reminder repeatedly mentioned in the supernatural forum. Within the replica, it is always safer than outside the replica. The white dove dare not breathe. A suffocating sensation swept over her. After all, there is a monster in this room. The TV has also been turned on. Sadako may come out at any time. Maybe it's already in the room. At the thought of this, the white dove became even more afraid. The rapid breathing sound pressure cannot be suppressed. I just feel like my heart is about to jump out. What are you doing? I've been watching you for half a day. Not far away, a deep voice rang out. Shen Jian popped out his head and sat out of place. Then he lay back in Sadako's arms. Pillow on pomelo. Comfortably watching the two women, Sadako and Coconut, compete. White dove. You're a player. Looking at the level 0 on Shen Jian's head, the white dove suddenly became confused. What is the situation? Are there two players in room 101? Not right. This one-star dungeon has only 4 participants. How did this 5th person emerge? In the copy of the 4, a 5th person who had never seen before appeared, and upon careful consideration, he was extremely frightened. The white dove is even more afraid. Especially when she noticed someone next to Shen Jian. Her black hair was scattered, covering her front face, and she was dressed in white. Isn't this the most classic image of Sadako? Using Sadako as a pillow. Shit. She couldn't resist cursing. Where did the big shot come from? Shen Jiandao said, are you the only one? What is the task? 4. Spend 3 days in room 101, replied the white dove subconsciously. Shen Jian seemed lost in thought. He also saw the level above the white dove's head. White dove, level 1, this is a personal presentation. It's to make players get to know each other. Game knowledge. He didn't expect to meet the player in this situation. He still held the room card for room 101 and did not check out. Is this considered an extraordinary encroachment on his occupancy rights? White dove. My room is occupied. Dot. 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 White dove. Who knows the situation? There is another player in room 101 who is using Sadako as a pillow. Yi is proud. I'm so fierce, really fake. Worker. I've never heard of such a thing before. Did you get caught? Sister is the queen. Sister, I'm afraid. Are you chatting with other players? Shen Jian stood up. Looking at the white dove that seemed to be sleepwalking, I immediately guessed something. His eyes sparkled with light. He tried to light up the chat interface. I didn't expect to succeed directly. It seems that he has now participated in the dungeons of other players. That's interesting. 4 players means there will be 4 monsters. If all of it is confiscated, then the Yanluo Palace can also operate normally. Pretty this thriller game is tailor-made for him. Yanluo Wang Benzhen. Are you discussing me? Jia, I will go find you now. Shen Jian said a sentence. Worker. Yi is proud. Shit. White dove. Ignoring the completely foolish white dove, Shen Jian opened the door with Sadako. Warning. Warning. Personal belongings, no takeaway. Scarlet characters flashed past Shen Jian again. Shen Jian pursed his lips. Personal belongings. That's right, this is his personal belongings. He let it out, it's very river. Out of the door. Shen Jian walked up to the 3rd floor based on the chat records. Room 202. Wan Chen looked at the 5th person appearing on the chat interface and couldn't help but shiver. He is at least an old player who has experienced 1-star dungeons, but he has never heard of any players entering randomly. The chat message is still popping up. But he had no intention of caring. Staring intently ahead. I dare not even blink. Zizizi, the lights flicker in and out. It seems like a malfunction. One after another, they went out. Starting from the entrance position, gradually dim one by one. Wan Chen was horrified and shocked. In the extinguished darkness, he vaguely saw a black shadow. As his gaze shifted, the position of the black shadow became increasingly close. For just a short while, only the light in his bedroom was still on. Sparkling with a sizzling sound. He stared at the door. Dare not blink. It seems that with just a blink of an eye, the eerie position will approach. Wan Chen quickly opened all the tools that could illuminate. The situation is not right. Gue shouldn't have recovered so quickly. According to the difficulty level of the 1-star dungeon he had experienced before, Gue generally began to gradually recover in the late night of the 3rd day. Before this, as long as he found the mysterious real body, he could basically complete the dungeon task safely and unharmed. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net, but now he counted in less than 30 minutes. I haven't had a chance to find the mysterious real body yet, Gue has already revived. At this speed, unless he can blink for 3 days and 3 nights, he will definitely not be able to withstand it. There is no problem with this replica. Not giving players a chance to have any chance of survival. Knock, knock. Just then, a knock on the door rang out. Moses, is anyone here? A cold voice sounded in the silent corridor. Wan Chen was startled. People. It's noisy. The 3 people who entered the dungeon with him were all newcomers. Give them 100 courage and dare not leave the room. The sudden knocking on the door. It's too eerie. Wan Chen instinctively held his breath. But I heard the sound of the door being opened. If no one responds, it means I can come in by default. Shen Jian pushed open the door and was also taken aback. Not turning on the lights, pretending to be mysterious. He stepped into the room. Closed the door. The room suddenly became dark. Wan Chen was startled. This mysterious creature can only kill in the dark, and once someone enters, it will definitely trigger the mysterious killing law. As expected. Wan Chen saw a black shadow drifting out of his sight and headed straight towards the door. Be careful, this one. Pop. The words are incomplete. A loud clap rang out. The sound of a certain ceramic product rolling on the ground also echoed synchronously. Shen Jian. What did you say? Wan Chen. Chapter 4. The mysterious gambling of destiny. You are listening at novel full.audio. Quiet. Silent in the darkness. Only the sound of ceramic rolling on the ground echoes. Wang Chen's pupils widened. What did he just see? Someone slapped the fan to the ground and rolled it several times. What's so special about this? Can you still deal with it like this? Are you playing a cracked or unlimited firepower version of a thriller game? At the first moment, two words came to Wang Chen's mind. Play high. This is a thriller game for high gamers. The level above the head is confusing. The slap just now was definitely using some kind of prop. The thriller game is full of dangers, but in contrast, players can also explore dungeons, search for useful dungeon props, and even bring them back to the real world to master extraordinary powers. He asserts that the slap just made by the gaming tycoon is definitely worth it. He just can't tell. You just wanted to ambush me. In the darkness, Shen Jian saw clearly what was attacking him. It is a blue and white porcelain with a strong sense of time. Inside the blue and white porcelain, a pitch-black shadow flowed out like ink, moving on the ground. The lights in the room were sizzling. And then the shadow stood up. Wang Chen is horrified. A shadow stood up like a human. This is too illogical. It is challenging people's fear threshold. Shadow approaching. Instantly attached to Shen Jian's body. It wants to take away Shen Jian's body and become a part of him. It was a strange creature that had never suffered such a blow before and was knocked down by a human. If not washed away, ghosts will bring shame. Pop. A crisp sound. Sadako, squatting outside the room, secretly glanced inside, feeling a bit resentful. She shrank and dared not look again. It was this big pussy that left a deep impression on her ghostly life. Seeing someone treating her the same way, while feeling resentful, she secretly rejoiced. Ingui was also stunned by Shen Jian's slap. His right face suddenly sank into a twisted state. This slap almost scattered him. Unable to provoke. He is wrong. He admitted that his voice had just grown a little louder. Ingui is very conscious. Without saying a word, he crawled back into the ceramic. On a lonely night, only ceramic jars can bring him some warmth. Shen Jian took action and caught the liquefied Shadow Gui with one hand, saying, "Are you a bit disrespectful to me? I'm here now, and I won't entertain you either." Shadow Gui. "Big brother, I'm just a creepy one." Shadow Gui directly intervened. "Let Shen Jian catch it." Obtain Shadow Gui. Shadow Eerie, incomplete. Integrating into the shadow, one can master Shadow Eerie. Note. The Eerie will gradually revive and kill the host. Look at the information above. Shen Jian was stunned for a moment. Fusion Shadow Eerie. This is what clever little ghost came up with. Shen Jian seemed lost in thought. Although he is the king of the 10 halls of hell who controls the underworld, he is still a newcomer. In terms of how to use the power of the eerie, thriller games are clearly more in depth than him. This short-lived method has both advantages and disadvantages. But for players who spend their days playing thriller games, mastering the power of mystery is indeed a shortcut. You can quickly possess the power to confront monsters. If the problem of the revival of monsters is not solved, they will eventually die from the monsters they control. Looking at this pile of black ink, Shen Jian let it go. Ingui followed her instincts and integrated into Shen Jian's shadow. You have fused Shadow Gui. Note. Every time Shadow Eerie is used, the shadow will be stripped of a portion. When Shadow Eerie completely occupies the shadow, it will fully recover. Note. Please use with caution. Scarlet font is revealing. Shen Jian's shadow also changed. In a violent surge. It's like breaking away from Shen Jian's body and becoming an independent entity. Clam. Revival. Can you revive one for me to see? Shen Jian sneered. Grab with a big hand. Directly integrated into the shadow. Capture Shadow Gui. I heard that if I call you once, you will take away my shadow. Is that true? Shadow Eerie shook his head wildly. Emit an incomplete roar of forehead. Who is it? Which bastard maliciously slandered his elder brother in front of him? He wants to duel with this bad silver. A child can be taught. Shen Jian nodded in satisfaction. Release the shadow gui and let it smoothly blend into one's own shadow. Under the illumination of the light, his shadow grew old. Dark and profound. Like the entrance to hell. In this way, he obtained a second monster. Growth rate of Yin Chi plus. At the thought of this, Shen Jian felt very happy. Your tricks are very useful, I accepted them with a smile. Shen Jian waved his hand. Turn around and leave. Not taking away a cloud. Only then did Wang Chen dare to catch his breath. Feeling dazed. He met a fairy today. Sadako, let's go. I'll give you an injection when I leave. Vaguely, he could still hear Shen Jian's voice. A mournful cry from the evil ghost is also fading away. Wang Chen. 6. Except for this word, any vocabulary is redundant. He opened the chat interface. Work slave. The big shot has come to my end, 2 big pussy guys make Guifu obedient. White dove. 666, Yi Shirao. Stop being arrogant. Is anyone here to help me? The eerie in my room has revived. It's a dice ghost, he's risking his life with me. Wang Chen's scalp is tingling. With the cunning gamble, there are a few lives that can be gambled on. The game of life and death. You die, it's strange. His guess is not wrong. There is definitely a problem with this Shengsheng villa. Not only is the mystery in his room reviving, but the mystery in other rooms is also reviving. At the thought of this, he laughed bitterly. Can a high-level player randomly enter a 1-star dungeon without increasing the difficulty? It can only be said that they are unlucky. Worker. The boss has already gone up, holding on is victory. Wang Chen sent a message. Flipped over the previous record again. There has been no news of a female player in room 404. I don't know if I have already lost my life. He was afraid for a moment. If it weren't for him being in room 202, he might not have been able to make it through just now. Room 303. A young and inexperienced boy was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. Just call Mom. In front of him, eerie black dice stepped on Newton's coffin board, suspended in the void and rolling points, spinning faster and faster. The dice rolled a few times and quickly stopped, rolling on the ground. A bright red dot appeared in front of him on the black dice. 2 o'clock. Wang Xian breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing the situation. He just threw 5 points. Winning. This is already his 4th win. But he couldn't be happy at all. Because this is not a fair game at all. The ghost lost and just paused for less than 5 minutes before starting the next round. And he lost. He had no condition to avoid the attack of the dice ghost. And he found that as he played more times, a blurry outline had been vaguely drawn across the black dice. That's the eerie gradually recovering. Keep playing, no one can guarantee what will happen. I just want to understand the meaning of life, not to die. Wang Xian wanted to cry without tears. If I had known earlier that I had accidentally clicked on the virus text on my computer, I regret it. Winning this one. He has 5 minutes to move around. But when the next game arrives, he will come back here and play the next gambling game. Yu reading www.uukangshu.net until he loses the bet. This is a gamble that one can never win. The same goes for gamblers who can never win against the banker. It's difficult for him to imagine what kind of immortal players those who have completed multiple dungeons in a one-star dungeon. It's time. The black dice began to spin again. It's the ghost's first move. For a clock, Wang Xian's face suddenly changed. This number is already very large. He is not sure what the draw will be, so he can only win this game by throwing 5 or 6 points. This is an extreme test of luck. He held the dice, gritted his teeth, and never dared to throw it. He was afraid that his luck would run out this time. Let me give it a try. Just then, a voice sounded behind him. Wang Xian turned around with a frightened expression on his face. I breathed a sigh of relief when I saw it was a player. Yen Luo Wang Ben Zun, level 0, this is a big shot. Professional players. Even with a level of vegetable chicken on his head. Wang Xian subconsciously said, it's very dangerous to lose, it's an extreme test of luck. Shen Jian took the dice with great interest. This is indeed a monster. It was artificially made into a ghost dice. It is a brand new gameplay that the underworld has never seen before. Shen Jian threw it out. That suits me so well, I am the Emperor of Europe, he said. The black dice spin at high speed. Wang Xian nervously prayed. Shen Jian looked at it casually. Soon. The number of dice has come out. 1 o'clock. Chapter 5. People cannot, at least should not. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time seems to have come to a standstill. Fate played a joke on Shen Jian. When the black dice stop beating, a red dot appears. 1 o'clock. The number of points for ghosts is 4, and the number of points for Shen Jian is 1. At this moment, Wang Xian beside him was tense all over, sweating profusely, staring at the crimson point with a hint of despair in his eyes. How could it be? Professional players surprisingly lost. This is an unquestionable comparison. He thought that Shen Jian had some kind of cheating technique that could throw a larger number of points, so he took over his position and chose to gamble his life with Gui. I never expected such a result. He doesn't feel fortunate at all. Because it's always his turn. Yi is proud. It's over, the boss lost. White dove. Worker. At this moment, Wang Xian had no mood to explain, and his heart was completely disheartened. He planned to write his last words. Grandpa is proud. It's my turn next. I hope those who see here can help me send a few words to my parents. My home address is, Grandpa is proud. I'll fuck you. Chat message aborted. Because Wang Xian saw a scene that shattered his 3 perspectives. After the black dice landed and presented the smallest number of points, a blurry outline suddenly stood up. A pair of black old cloth shoes moved. That's a strange recovery. Part of the body has already been exposed. Old cloth shoes are approaching. A blurry outline is also approaching. We need to kill Shen Jian. Complete the bet. This is the most desperate part of this gambling game. Quietly lost, silent for 5 minutes. If a person loses, the ghost will directly take action. Pop. A crisp sound. The old cloth shoes stopped. The blurry outline also came to a stop. It seems to be in a daze. Shen Jian placed his hand in mid-air, as if resting it on Gui's shoulder. Then, with a strong press, Gui sat down in response. Also, just now I rotated less forcefully. Shen Jian's voice was deep and low. Pick up the black dice and throw them. A new round has begun. Dice ghost. The black dice come to a stop. Exposed points. 2 points. Shen Jian. Unconsciously, he picked up the dice and threw it out. 3 o'clock. The ghost has won again. The dice ghost erupted again. The old black cloth shoes moved and he planned to get up again, asking Shen Jian to repay the bet. Sit down, do it again, I will win this time. Shen Jian impatiently pressed. Gue sat back again. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free. Dice Ghost. Big brother, this is not interesting anymore. Shen Jian gritted his teeth and threw it again without believing in evil. 5 o'clock. Seeing this number, Shen Jian finally smiled. He just said, his luck has always been good. How could they lose 2 consecutive games? Isn't this third round getting better? Soon. Trick to roll the dice. The number of points is 6 o'clock pop. This time, without waiting for the dice ghost to react, Shen Jian went over with a big pussy. Why did you cheat in front of me? Wang Xian. Dice ghost. Wang Xian was sweating coldly. For a moment, he couldn't distinguish between humans and dogs. The dice ghost really can't hold on anymore. Are you lucky enough to hit me? I didn't even jump after losing 4 times just now, but this younger generation lost 3 times and hit him 2 big pussy bags. As for that. Is it a big deal to let you win once? The dice ghost trembled and took the dice, throwing them first. 6 o'clock. Before Shen Jian could pick it up, the dice ghost threw it again. 5 o'clock. Throw it away again. 3 o'clock. Throw it away again. 2 o'clock. Not safe enough, come again. 4 o'clock. 1 o'clock. The black dice stop, and the crimson dots point to 1 point. Shen Jian picked it up, shook it in his palm a few times, and threw it seriously. The black dice are spinning. Finally, stop. 1 o'clock. Shen Jian. The dice ghost has collapsed. I've already rolled 1 point, but you can still draw with me. You have to walk in dog poop, right? He doesn't play anymore. Whoever loves plays. Only a pair of worn-out old cloth shoes revealed a blurred silhouette that disappeared. The dice have no movement. If you lose, run away. This ghost bet is not good. Shen Jian pursed his lips. Picked up the black dice. A message emerges. Monster. Ghost dice. Description. Come and gamble with me for a game. The price is your life. Note. You're lucky. That's because you haven't tried a brand new version. Shen Jianwei was surprised. This is a supernatural prop. The usage is also very simple. As long as you have good luck, this is undoubtedly an excellent way to combat monsters. Put the dice into your pocket. Shen Jian left the door. Continue walking towards room 404. 3 strange creatures gathered around him, and his Yin energy grew rapidly. In less than a day, the Yin energy has exceeded 100. This feeling of getting stronger while walking is really good. Soon. He arrived at room 404. Push open the door. The room was in a mess. Like being passed by some kind of creature recklessly. A tattered chair, a bathtub with a cut corner, and a bed with a broken waist. Only there is no trace of the player. Shen Jian frowned. Just as I was about to search, the phone in my pocket rang. Shen Jian was taken aback. Can your phone still be used in thriller games? He took it out and took a glance. Caller ID, Miss Mary. Mary. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. Continuing, which one? Hello, I'm Miss Mary. Where are you now? A sharp grinding sound came from the phone. Shen Jian squinted his eyes and smiled. I am currently in room 404 of the Xingxing Villa. Doodle. The phone hung up. Shen Jian searched without any concern. A female corpse was found in the wardrobe. Vivid and lifelike. No breathing, no signs of life, like just dying. There is a yellow talisman attached to the forehead. It is the last player in the dungeon. Is this pretending to be dead? Shen Jian removed the yellow talisman. The female corpse immediately opened her eyes. She seemed surprised. Has it been 3 days already? Blurted out. Then I looked at the game panel and learned about the situation. Looking at Shen Jian's gaze, well, how to put it, it's like seeing the father of the Gold Lord. Shen Jian asked, where is the mystery? Sister is the queen. Gui is not in the room. She relies on the phone to locate you. Once she connects, she will find you. Is it the one named Miss Mary? Yes, she holds a decapitation knife, and unless the person answering the phone dies, she will never stop dying. The woman had a look of horror on her face. It's like recalling some terrifying memories. Ding-ling-ling. The phone rang. Shen Jian is connected. The sharp grinding sound echoed again. Hello, I'm Miss Mary. I'm on the 5th floor of the heights. Step by step the sound of high heels colliding with the ground resounded. The lights began to dim, one sound after another extinguished. Getting closer and closer. The woman's body began to tremble. The sense of oppression brought about by the brink of death reached its peak at this moment. Even breathing seemed to come to a standstill. The atmosphere dare not breathe. Ding-ling-ling. The phone ringtone rings again. A sharp female voice came through the door. Hello, I'm Miss Mary. I'm currently at the entrance of room 404. Squeak. The door was pushed open. A pale hand reached in. An international supermodel girl wearing black high heels, a black evening gown, and a lace black cloth over her eyes walked in. Sharp teeth spread out and said, Hello, I'm Miss Mary, and I'm right in front of you now. I found you. Raise the beheading sword. However, in the next moment, he left Mary's palm. Under Shen Jian's feet, a black ink stick stretched out and a ghost hand rested on the other person. The suppression from supernatural beings takes effect at this moment. Miss Mary hesitated in her movements. Stand straight in place. There was no movement. Shen Jian's face showed a satisfied smile. This Xingxing Villa is really a blessed place. Chapter 6. Copy Collapse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wow, this inspection work is really exhausting. Shen Jian let out his breath. After his complex and professional examination, Miss Mary fully meets the requirements. She was admitted. The number of people operating the Yanluo Hall is also sufficient. Sadako is responsible for the front desk. Miss Mary is responsible for luring monsters. He carried 2 more tricks with him, constantly increasing his Yin energy. Perfect. He plans to repeat this operation a few more times. So Miss Mary, who was obedient, left the room. Only the equally crimson woman remained sitting by the bed, lost in deep thought. Is she having a problem or is the boss having a problem? Would you rather train a female monster than touch her? Damn it, although my figure is not up to par, my face is not interesting enough, my chest is not big enough, I don't have long legs, and I don't have bright white hair, but I am human. Room 404 was filled with a sense of sadness. She survived. Successfully survived from this terrifying and deadly 1-star dungeon. But why she has a sadness that she would rather die than die on her own. Warning. Warning. Red level warning. The instance of the reincarnation villa is facing a large scale collapse. All invited guests have been lost and players will be forcibly transferred soon. Please check out within 10 minutes and settle the dungeon reward. The instance of the reincarnation villa is about to close, warning again. Shen Jian, who had just walked down the 2nd floor, was confused. What happened? Why should a good copy be closed? He gathered together a plan to strengthen the company. 4 rooms, 4 players ran out in panic. The dungeon crashes. They have never heard of it before. But judging from the bright red warning on the game panel, there is definitely no good end to staying. Hurriedly ran down the 1st floor one by one. Find the waitress at the front desk to check out. The waitress is still a cracked woman. A pair of hollow eyes that have been cut off are still so profound and charming. Her lips outlined a smile that exuded. The instance of the reincarnation villa has suffered unknown damage and is urgently being repaired. It will no longer be open for a short period of time. Please take note. Before she could finish speaking, her voice came to a sudden halt. It's like seeing something scary. You. Why are you still here? A few players looked and saw Shen Jian coming down from the second floor. A face full of melancholy. He searched room by room, but did not see another monster. Seeing the waitress at this moment is like seeing a family member. Walking with great strides. The shadow grew old and looked completely different from a normal person. A black-haired Sadako, covering her head, followed behind, feeling aggrieved. Her beautiful hair wrapped around Shen Jian's fingers, as if she was being held. Later on, Mary, who had been successfully trained, walked with long legs and stepped on high heels in a black dress. Her face, covered in black veil, blushed faintly and looked a bit sickly. The waitress was confused. These. Aren't they the special guests of the Xingxing Villa? They left the room, and the dungeon lost its uniqueness. Can't it collapse? The source of emotional breakdown lies here. The waitress seemed to understand something. She wants to show her strength. To intimidate this human, show off the domineering spirit of the Xingxing Villa. Guest, can we let them go back? Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. Can't the cunning of control be taken away? The waitress's tone became even weaker. But these two behind you. I managed them. Shen Jian said. Behind her, Sadako had a reaction. She wrapped her hair around Shen Jian's wrist, feeling extremely resentful. Miss Mary tilted her head and was learning with a straight face. He wrapped his legs around Shen Jian. Waitress. Look. Shen Jian approached as he spoke. Warning, targeting dungeon personnel will result in permanent disqualification from the game. Shen Jian. This thriller game is really worth beating. He could only retract his outstretched hand. Only one room card for room 101 was left. I was originally planning to kidnap this cracked woman. After all, this person has experience and serves as the front desk. You can bring Sadako with you. The waitress became even more frightened. Under the pressure of lust, I could only obediently help Shen Jian handle the procedures. The crimson panel reveals the font. This game has ended. Congratulations on completing the instance of the Rebirth Villa, evaluation. S. Obtain item. Ghost dice. Experience gained. 500%. Note. You have been upgraded to level 5, obtained item. Thriller coin asterisk 300. Note. Can be used in a thrilling world. Received special reward. Inheritance of the past life villa, 1/2. Note. If the evaluation of the dungeon reaches level S, players can initiate the next stage of the dungeon task, complete 2S.level evaluations, and inherit the real estate of the dungeon. The real estate of the thrilling world. Shen Jian was taken aback. This was something he didn't expect. Is it possible that this thrilling world has evolved into a complete world, just like the underworld, forming its own heaven and earth? He seemed lost in thought. Before teleporting out the dungeon, I turned around and glanced at the reincarnation villa. The cracked woman sneaked out of the entrance of the villa and erected a signboard. He glared at Shen Jian with a fierce and ugly expression. Dogs and players are not allowed to enter. Shen Jian. When Shen Jian opened his eyes again. He has returned to the real world. The next moment. Shen Jian points out special rewards. I want to continue opening the dungeon of the reincarnation villa. Talk to the cracked woman about her ideals. Attention players, the dungeon, Rebirth Villa, has been deceived by a scumbag and is undergoing emergency repairs. During the repair period, the dungeon will no longer be open to players. We apologize for any inconvenience caused. Shen Jian. He turned his gaze to other interfaces. Player. Yen Luo Wang Ben Zun, level 5, identity. King of Hell, ability. Demon and Divine Power, Sen Luo Ghost Chi, strength. 25, the limit for ordinary people is 10, speed. 25, Yin Chi. 120, thriller coin. 300, prop. Ghost Dice Master Shen, who has been busy all day, has gained a lot from Yu reading at www.yuukangshu.net. Comprehensive improvement of attributes. The more you look, the more satisfied you become. Especially when he saw the 4 monsters appearing in his room, he was even more satisfied. His shadow grew old and dark, rich and dark. A pair of old black cloth shoes stepped on the room, revealing a blurry silhouette. Sadako, dressed in white and with black hair scattered, stood by the bed, her hair wrapped around her. She looked down and couldn't see her little feet. Miss Mary showed a sickly crimson expression, her eyes covered in black cloth focused on Shen Jian, her sharp teeth rubbing against her, and she was climaxing inside her skull. Shen Jian looked at it. A smile appeared at the corner of the mouth. Starting today, the underworld officially begins to operate. The long-lost underworld hell of this land is about to reappear. Dark soil. Shen Jian muttered to himself. The rented cabin suddenly faded. As if deprived of color, a vast expanse of gray. A dark brown road emerged, connecting a certain point. Underworld, the gate of hell. This is a passage leading to the underworld. From here, one can enter the underworld as a living person. Shen Jian stood up and stepped into the underworld. Follow the passage and enter the underworld. In a daze. He has appeared in a vast expanse of land. Dark and gloomy. A ghostly aura emanates. Underneath my feet were the unknown brown soil, and as I walked, I could accurately step on a dead bone with every step, making a creaking bone-cracking sound. It seems to have been desolate for a long time. At the end, a palace loomed out faintly. The mist dissipated, and a few big characters emerged. Yenluo Hall. Chapter 7. Customizable 18 Layers of Hell. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Life is not easy, the king of hell sighed. Looking at the underworld with only one Yenluo Hall left, Shen Jian felt very sad. The company has just been established, there is not enough money, personnel are temporarily unavailable, and the project is undecided. Everything is flourishing with all kinds of waste. This is undoubtedly a mess. With a wave of his hand, Shen Jian's energy condensed and a standardized contract appeared in his hand. Party A, Prefectural Government. Party B, Weird. Employment term, 6-cycle operation. None. The agreement reached by both parties through consultation is as follows. Article 1. The existence of the underworld shall not be disclosed to anyone. Article 2. It is not allowed to inquire about the situation of the underworld in any way. Article 3. No actions that harm the interests of the local government shall be taken. Article 4. The decisions made by the local government are correct and cannot be questioned. Article 5. No false reporting of personal circumference is allowed. Article 6. After signing the contract, it shall be deemed that both parties have reached an agreement and the contract is officially established. Article 7. If there are violations, the local government has the right to punish them. Article 8. If there are any doubts during the contract period, the right of interpretation belongs to the local government. As a new prefecture, Shen Jian has the right to modify all prefecture laws, and this standard contract is one of them. That's basically all for the treaty, it's no different from a typical company contract. As long as you sign your name, the contract will officially take effect. Strange can become a worker in the underworld. Appointed to the underworld. The term of office does not end until the establishment of the 6 paths reincarnation. At that time, whether you want to reincarnate or continue working for the underworld depends on your own wishes. Shen Jian handed the contract to Sadako and Miss Mary. Yin Qi adheres. The contract is officially effective. They were branded with the symbol of the underworld. Becoming a negative deviant. As long as you are in the underworld, you can have a suppressive effect on foreign monsters. Of course, this is not the point. The key is that after being nourished by Yin Qi, the 2 female geniuses become even more charming and charming. Sadako was bouncing and shaking 2 grapefruits, with a sign of great calamity. Miss Mary tilted her head as if she was experimenting with something. Yin energy surged up, and a transformed black stockings wrapped around her long legs. Legs together, slightly tilted, perfectly showcasing the advantage of a sleek curve. It's done. Shen Jian couldn't help but like himself. Sure enough, this is the correct way to open the underworld. The previous underworld was full of Yin Qi, which was too unlucky and unsightly. The image is too scary, which can be intimidated by 404. Shen Jian walked into the Yanluo Hall and sat down. The system prompts the sound to start. Task. Rebuild the underworld. Phase 1. The operation of the Yanluo Hall has been completed. Reward. 18 layers of hell. 18 layers of hell. Shen Jian was taken aback. The most famous place in the underworld is undoubtedly the 18 layers of hell. Legend has it that it is an underworld place used to punish various monsters, with a terrifying and gloomy environment that is tens of thousands of times more terrifying than the prison where human prisoners are executed. Different punishments are received based on the crimes committed by the monsters during their lifetime. What's cooking oil, swords and flames, beating and tormenting, all of them are themes of 18 levels of hell. Make the eerie smell pale. In thought. A 3D holographic projection of 18 layers of hell model appeared in front of Shen Jian. Except for the first layer, the remaining 17 layers are all gray and inaccessible. Shen Jian opened the first floor. The space is infinitely large. But it was also a vast expanse of gray. A reminder appeared in front of him. Hell Level 1. Customizable. There is currently a lack of candidates for labor reform conditions. Eerie. Reform through labor goal. Eliminate evil karma and obtain Yin energy. Customizable hell. Shen Jian's tongue twitched as he had some bold ideas. There is also this goal of labor reform. The first half of the sentence was ignored, and the focus is on the last sentence. To obtain Yin energy. If he understood correctly, the subject who obtained Yin energy should be the underworld. In other words, it belongs to the company's public funds and cannot be used for personal enjoyment. Even the boss cannot embezzle it without permission. But rules are dead, people are alive. There are always more solutions than difficulties. In just a few minutes, Shen Jian had already come up with several solutions. All are punishable. All can be imprisoned, not imprisoned. His current task is also clear. Continue to catch the monsters. Throw these evil spirits into the 18 layers of hell one by one to obtain Yin Qi. Encountering favorable conditions can also lead to the development of underworld Yin differences. How can a Grand Yanluo Hall, the head of the 10 halls, be equipped with a front desk and a female secretary? Shen Jian returned to the human world. Sadako also followed back. Start sweeping, mopping, and cooking. The image of a virtuous wife and mother is very commendable. When marrying a wife, one should marry a chaste son. Not aging, not looking to wear, not wearing cosmetics, and even not eating or drinking. It is also very charming, knowing how to surprise her husband by appearing on TV. With a good figure, good dance skills, and good camera experience, she looks innocent when taking photos. What a perfect wife candidate. The single dog next door is crying with desire. Eating and drinking well, Shen Jian pondered the pain and understood that he couldn't fall down anymore. He opened the game interface. A countdown appears. 72 hours until the next instance is opened. In 3 days. Shen Jian was resting on 2 large grapefruits, and his yin energy was constantly growing. In the spare time, he caught a glimpse of the invitation on the friend's icon. Friend invitation from player. White dove. Friend invitation from player. Working slave. Invited by player. Yi Xiao's friend. Friend invitation from player. Sister is the queen. Shen Jian passed one by one. Then his eyebrows and eyes raised. Worker. Boss, my name is Wang Chen. Can you schedule a meeting place? I have opened an invitation letter for a replica of the spiritual funeral parlor from the compensation reward of the Shishing Villa. It is in team mode and can designate one person to join me. I'm not sure if the boss is interested. Working slave. Of course, I will also pay thriller coins, which is a little token of my heart. Please fly with me. Yen Luo Wang Benzhen. Compensation rewards. In an exquisite community, Wang Chen looked nervously at the chat interface. Not far from the side, a woman was playing with a child, laughing and laughing incessantly. Wang Chen's gaze is gentle. The dungeon of the Rebirth Villa has ended prematurely. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net. He was lucky enough to pass the 1-star dungeon again. Although he didn't gain much and only gained less than half of his experience, he survived. I saw my wife and children again and enjoyed the joy of family. However, in the compensation reward of the dungeon, a deadly invitation letter was issued. Belongs to a special replica. Time limit is 1 day. He has understood that special dungeons do not have a fixed level. It is a random match. Good luck is a star, but bad luck can even lead to a ring star. He thought it over and only this big shot could help him pass the level. Work slave. Yes, it's extremely unlucky. I would rather not have this compensation reward. Boss, I have accumulated a total of 800 horror coins, which can all be gifted to you, just ask me to be by your side. Shen Jian. This blatant discrimination. Why didn't he compensate for the reward? Yen Luo Wang Benzhen. I agree, come and find me based on the address above. Shen Jian replied. Helping others is a pleasure for him, it's nothing he can do. Helping ghosts is a pleasure, and he also does it with ease. Ding, you have received a gift of 800 horror coins from the player's office slave. Wang Chen looked at the news with great excitement, and as he was about to turn the thriller coin around, he was afraid that Shen Jian would turn back. This is his only hope, a golden thigh. If he misses it, there will be no second chance. Watch the gift notification on the game interface. Shen Jian lay down and continued to rest in the gentle countryside. Ah! He opened his mouth and a grape was delivered into his mouth. Ice cold, take a bite, the juice is full. The life of immortals is nothing more than that. Chapter 8. Invitations to Spiritual Funeral Parlor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day. Shen Jian arrived at the junction. Seeing Wang Chen, a middle-aged uncle who was still wearing a suit this summer, sneaking around like he wanted to secretly trade weapons. Boss, we're meeting again. Wang Chen is very excited. This is a golden thigh. A man who can destroy dungeons and put the reincarnation villa under maintenance. He searched the information all night and never heard of anyone who could do this. The most amazing thing is just completing the dungeon on the first day. Hold on to this thigh tightly, don't worry for the rest of your life. I just don't know if the big shots will respond to him if he calls out, brother legs. What about the copy invitation letter? Shen Jian's simple words were shocking. Here it is. Wang Chen took out a beautiful letter from his pocket. Trigger special instance. Spiritual funeral parlor. Mode. Team up with 2 people. Tip. This is an invitation from a funeral home, which recruits high salaries every day, but it seems unsatisfactory. By completing the commission, you can obtain the identity of a funeral home staff. Look at the message on the game interface. Shen Jian seemed lost in thought. Funeral home staff, referring to their identity in the thrilling world. Only with this level of identity can one enter the thrilling world. Are you ready? Shen Jian asked. Wang Chen. Shouldn't I ask you? Why did you turn the tables? Big shots are strong. He nodded to indicate. Shen Jian opened the invitation letter. Everything around began to change. Loading. A sufficient number of players have been detected. The game officially begins. Copy. Spiritual funeral parlor. Content. This is the paradise of the dead, the ultimate home of all souls of feudal death. Don't disturb them, they will wake up. Number of players. 6. Main task. Transport the monsters back to the funeral home. Regional Task 1. Not enabled. Regional Task 2. Not enabled. Friendly reminder. The more you know, the safer it is. Difficulty. 1 star. Reveal in crimson font. Shen Jian opened his eyes, and the surrounding environment had become unfamiliar. He stood on a dull street. There are still 5 people standing around. Except for him and Wang Chen, the other 4 people seem to have joined in a team form, revealing their respective positions. 4 men and 2 women. His gaze swept over the 4 of them in sequence. 2 male duo, of similar age, 1 tall and strong, 1 sharp and thin, 1 level 1, 1 level 3, 1 ID is non-aggressive, and the other ID is versatile. 2 female groups, 1 is a submissive person with freckles on her face, a level 2 player, and the ID is Fei. A gentle and calm player with a box of black-edged eyes, level 4 player, ID, book cloth. Shen Jian squinted his eyes. His gaze lingered for a moment on the slender young man and the eyed girl. Because their breath is a bit different. Either they have supernatural items on their bodies, or they have mastered some of the monsters. Overall, it looks like he is much stronger than the player he first met. Having true abilities in one's body. The level already indicates everything. The other few people's eyes were also scanning, and in the end, they all focused on Shen Jian. Without him, Shen Jian has the highest level. Leading the entire field. This is a seasoned player who has experienced multiple dungeons. Several people make judgments simultaneously. Observation room. A crisp voice sounded, "Is that the car from the funeral home?" The speaker was a woman with freckles on her face, and she reached out to the roadside. A hearse with a memorial sticker was parked not far from them. A few people were greatly surprised. Compared to a regular hearse, this funeral car is too large. It is the size of a bus. And the interior decoration is no different from that of a bus. Not a traditional hearse. We're not going to take this car to transport the monsters back, are we? A tall and strong man swallows saliva, while a living person rides a hearse, which is a great taboo. Moreover, this is a thriller game. Anything can happen. Something fell on the car. Glasses girl also spoke up. Pointed to the driver's seat at the forefront. It is a survey questionnaire. From the funeral home. Main quest has been initiated. Task tip. Go to Ping'an Hotel, investigate the identity of the victim, and transport the body back to the funeral home. Note. Danger often comes from ignorance. Several people turned their attention to the survey questionnaire. My heart thumped. Question 1. What were the relationships between the deceased before their death? Question 2. Did the deceased die from homicide or suicide? Question 3. What is the cause of death? Question 4. Where is the body of the corpse? What's so special, you're a funeral home transporter? What kind of trouble is it like a forensic investigator? Can the corpse still get up and ask you, how did he die before burning the body? Shen Jian sighed. A good thriller game, do all these useless things. After watching the content, other players also turned pale with a purple hue. The tall and strong man, as well as the freckled girl, were trembling slightly. They looked at Wang Chen. That's right. They can see it. 3 groups of players are all one expert with a vegetable chicken. And Wang Chen, like them, belongs to the one being taken. This is a resonance between vegetables and chickens. However, Wang Chen's reaction was very calm. This made them look at each other in confusion. Look at each other's thighs. The skinny young man pointed to the hotel across from him and said, "It's impossible for thriller games to give you a deadly mission. Since this survey questionnaire is out, you can definitely find the answer in the hotel." Glasses girl also nodded. Wang Chen lowered his voice and said, "Brother Legs, what should we do?" Shen Jian glanced at the middle-aged and overweight Mediterranean of the other party, but didn't say anything. He just sighed and said, "Let's go take a look first. I'm not very good at this type of puzzle game." He looked up. The Pinyin Hotel mentioned in the game prompt happens to be opposite. That is a hotel that also offers food and accommodation. It's a bit old-fashioned, the white paint outside the walls is blurry, and moss is growing all over the hotel. It looks gloomy, as if it's built on a cemetery. A sick ghost smoking dry cigarettes and coughing violently in his mouth stared at the player with a cloudy and white eyeball. Every cough feels like something bad is happening. Stay in the hotel or get a tip. The sick ghost spoke in an almost hoarse voice. The skinny young man said in a deep voice, "We are the staff of the funeral home. Yu reading www.uukangshu.net is here to transport the body. Please let us in. Without a doubt, this is a monster. They cannot force themselves to break through. We can only act according to the rules. 1 person is 1,000. What?" The slender young man was taken aback. "I want to go in, 1,000 thrilling coins per person." The sick ghost continued to smoke, shrouded in mist. Everyone was surprised. What a big appetite. 1,000 thriller coins are undoubtedly a huge sum of money for them. And not everyone can afford it. This type of currency, which can only be used in the thrilling world, plays an extremely important role for players, and no one is willing to use it unless absolutely necessary. Moreover, this is just the cost of entering the door. What should we do? Numerous players looked at each other. I don't know what to do for a moment. They encountered a local monster that was difficult for players for the first time. I was stopped outside before entering the hotel. Although there is no time limit for this instance, fools know that the longer you drag on in a dungeon full of monsters, the more dangerous it becomes. There is patience to waste, but humans do not. "Oh, fellow villager, I'm walking with you." At that moment, the sound of a click rang out. Everyone was taken aback. Because they saw Shen Jian go up. A passionate appearance of meeting fellow villagers and asking them to introduce their work. Players. Sick ghost. Who is so special about your hometown? Are you walking with me? Are you also a hotel worker? The hoarse cough of the sick ghost rang out. Almost, I was a robber. Chapter 9. Mysterious Rope. I am not a human, you are a real dog. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Coincidentally, I'm not. I'm with you, and I'm also a robber. Shen Jian is very familiar from birth. When the fellow villager saw him, tears welled up in his eyes. The sick ghost was stunned for a moment. I didn't expect any humans to dare to make fun of him. Shouldn't a normal person's reaction be to spend money and eliminate disasters, and come together to hand over the horror coins for him to make a profit? Are you not afraid of me? The sick ghost couldn't help but say. Shen Jian glanced at him and said, to be honest, you're a bit weak. The sick ghost's expression froze for a moment before becoming furious. His face turned waxy yellow and discolored, like a patient in a hospital bed, feeling like he was dying at any moment. He walked a bit unsteadily, and his frequency of smoking dry cigarettes became faster and faster. Cough, cough, cough. A severe cough sounded from the sick ghost. That's an attack. A supernatural attack. All players trembled with fear. In the midst of the coughing, they heard a heavy sound, which was clearly ringing in the distance, but the sound echoed in their minds. That's why it makes people feel particularly scared. That is a monster launching an attack. The local monster of the dungeon has mastered a certain killing law. Once unable to resist, one will die directly. It's too reckless. Local monsters are all neutral lineups. As long as players do not actively provoke them, these monsters will not take action. However, once they are provoked, their strength is even more dangerous than the dungeon itself. Why did you spit on me so much that I don't need to talk about hygiene? Shen Jian looked disdainful and raised his hand with a punch. Specializing in slapping faces. The cough stopped. The cigarette stick was also knocked away. The sick ghost covered his face with confusion, and his left face was sunken. It's like hitting a corpse. You. The sick ghost is furious and coughing again. Shen Jian remained expressionless and delivered a symmetrical punch. Bang. Ouch. The sick ghost let out a scream and covered its face with both hands. This young man is not particularly good at martial arts. Just as he was about to curse, Shen Jian's fist greeted him. You want to die? Bang. Damn it. Over and over again, the sick ghost got angry and bullied, right? Believe it or not, the old man, I'll just lie down. Bang bang. I was wrong, big brother. I was wrong, don't hit me. Bang. I apologize, why are you still fighting? The sick ghost with a blue nose and swollen face suddenly felt a little aggrieved. Sorry, it went smoothly. Shen Jian has no apologies. It's really satisfying to have no new restrictions. Even if the dungeon staff is hit hard, they will not receive a warning. The sick ghost is even more aggrieved. I want to squat down and hide in the corner. Human beings are too terrifying. Do you still want me to pay? Shen Jian looked down at the sick ghost, his fists itching faintly. The sick ghost trembled and said, no need, please come in. Just be your own home. Players. Everyone was confused. Big brother, your art style is not right. Even if you are a seasoned player, it is too shocking to have a sense of shock when it comes to violent attacks and tricks. If the mystery of thriller games is so simple, how could there be such a high mortality rate? Especially the skinny young man and the glasses girl, their eyes widened with an unimaginable look. Is this using some kind of prop? But the effect of this prop is also somewhat too strong. Don't worry, I have something else to ask you. As he walked into the hotel, Shen Jian asked, since you are the boss, you should know who the deceased was, right? Tell me everything you know. Sick ghost. Big brother, you're looking for bugs and finding me. If it weren't for being unable to fight, I would have coughed for you twice. The sick ghost said cautiously, there were 3 deceased people, 2 of whom were regular guests of the hotel. I guess it was a scene of infidelity where the bitter master came to kill them. I can't tell, you're quite gossipy. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. The sick ghost chuckled and said, mainly because that woman is pregnant. I saw that the other person had enough fun, so I paid more attention. The player following behind took out a survey questionnaire. In just these 2 short sentences, at least 2 problems have been solved. Question 1. The relationship between the deceased. Lovers and spouses. Question 2. Did he die from homicide or suicide? Lover killed, wife killed, husband committed suicide. Shen Jian continued to ask, do you know how they died? The sick ghost recalled, the bitter master was carrying a roll of hemp rope and a bottle of sulfuric acid. Question 3. What is the cause of death? Hanging. Poisoning. Where is the body? One is on the 3rd floor, one is on the 2nd floor, and one is in the storage room. Question 4. Where is the corpse? 3rd floor, 2nd floor, storage room. Almost all of them have been untied. Everyone was shocked. I haven't entered the hotel yet, and the answer is basically out. When did thriller games become so simple? The tall and strong man murmured, this is too simple. A few people glanced at Shen Jian at the forefront. Is it simple? It's really simple. But it cannot be replicated. To achieve this, you need to hit a monster. Who has this ability? Who exactly is this, King of Hell? It's too strong. I'll go to the 3rd floor and bring out the body. Entering the hotel, the thin young man immediately expressed his concern. The glasses girl pushed her black-framed glasses and said, let me go to the storage room. There are 3 deceased individuals, 3 corpses, and 3 groups of players. It is not necessary to look at them, but one group is responsible for one. Several soldiers divided into 3 routes. What is left for Shen Jian is the 2nd floor. Brother Legs, I'll explore the way. Wang Chen took the lead and immediately stated. As a player who has also passed 1 or 2 dungeons, Wang Chen understands that supernatural events can occur anywhere in the dungeon. Especially where the body is. The likelihood of encountering supernatural beings is close to 100%. His positioning is very clear. Help Brother Legs explore the way, even if there is danger, Shen Jian will save him. Otherwise, if his thighs get cold first, he will definitely get another cold. Wang Chen cautiously arrived at the room on the 2nd floor. Pushing open a crack in the door, a gust of Yin wind blew into the room along the crack. As the crack widened, everything inside also caught the eye. A hanging corpse is facing the gate. Due to being blown in by the wind, the suspended toes are shaking. The distance between a person and a corpse is less than 30 centimeters, almost within reach. Wang Chen felt a chill. A chill rose to my back. This scene is too thrilling. He opened the door a little wider, so he might have a close contact with the corpse. This will scare people to death. At the moment the door opened, Wang Chen's invisible head suddenly pulled down a blood-stained hemp rope. The rope was quickly wrapped around Wang Chen's neck and then tightened, lifting him out of thin air. Suspended in mid-air. The whole process took less than a second, and Wang Chen couldn't react at all. The suffocation and pain instantly swept through. Unlike ordinary hanging, Wang Chen's eyes turned white at the moment of being lifted, and his body temperature rapidly decreased, presenting a dying state 10 minutes later. If he doesn't have the ability to resist, he will die in 3 seconds. At the critical moment, one hand grabbed the hemp rope directly. With a forceful pull, the hemp rope broke and disappeared. Wang Chen fell to the ground, his face flushed, and he coughed violently. He had palpitations in his heart. He almost died just now. This 1-star dungeon is particularly difficult. The fatal rate is on par. However, the crisis has not ended. Another blood-stained hemp rope was pulled down. It happened to fit Shen Jian's neck. Tighten the hemp rope and lift it. Shen Jian remained motionless. Hemp rope. Once again. There is still no response. It's angry. Another hemp rope fell and was double-layered, then lifted again. Still not moving. I'm giving you a hard time, right? Shen Jian tore off the hemp rope around his neck and came to the side of the corpse, pulling a dark red hemp rope with force. As the body fell, a seemingly endless hemp rope was pulled down. Then pull it. The hemp rope broke directly. Cut into 2 pieces. And it hasn't disappeared. And after a moment of confusion, the 2 pieces of hemp rope recombined again. Shen Jian's face remained expressionless and he tore it into 8 paragraphs. Hemp rope. Let's take a step back each. I'm not human, you're a real dog. This time, it took 3 minutes for the hemp rope to recombine. Monster. Ghost rope. Description. You take a picture, I take a picture, a corpse is smiling. Note. This is a childlike prop, but be aware that there are taboos in fairy tales. Chapter 10. The Mystery of a Flat Fall. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The ghost rope dyed red was grabbed by Shen Jian in his hand. The relevant information is also at a glance. Undoubtedly, this is also a monster. The law of killing is to randomly tie a hemp rope, which cannot break free for 3 seconds, automatically hangs, and the ghost rope has the ability to automatically repair and double stack. The law of murder is not particularly bizarre. The level of terror is not high either. 3 seconds is a death sentence for novice players, but for those with the ability to resist, it is enough to break free. The only effect on Shen Jian is to help him increase his Yin energy. Wang Chen also recovered at this moment. Looking at Shen Jian with an expression of, "You are my god. Brother Legs, if anything strange happens, he will get 2 big mouths." He approached cautiously and flipped through the corpses on the ground. "Brother Leg, is this Huang Mao or Ku Zhu? What can be hung with hemp rope, besides the bitter master, may also be used to hang yellow hair. They need to determine whether the bitter master committed suicide. These are the few remaining doubts in the survey questionnaire. Just find out everything and you'll know." Shen Jian glanced at it without making a judgment. As long as he doesn't make a judgment, he will never misjudge. "That's right." Wang Chen nodded, feeling a bit embarrassed. "So, should we first lift this corpse onto the hearse? Hang it up." Wang Chen was taken aback for a moment. In the next moment, the ghost rope revived from Shen Jian's body, fell from the head of the corpse in the hemp rope, and lifted it out of thin air, following behind Shen Jian. Wang Chen. This is even more frightening. Help. At this moment, a sharp scream sounded from upstairs. The chat interface is also constantly flashing. Non-attack. To die, to die. Universal love. Help. Looking at the messages on the chat interface. The 2 female players fell silent. No, is male players so brave? Did you confront Gui so quickly? They are still observing outside the storage room. On the other side. Shen Jian has already walked up to the 3rd floor. Coincidentally, I saw the heart-wrenching screams of the non-offensive love duo running towards me with a panicked expression, and seeing Shen Jian was like seeing a savior. Behind them, a woman in a blood-stained red dress followed. The woman is bald, with a decaying face and a dark red color all over her body. She can directly see the flesh and blood beneath her skin, like a skinned, dark red corpse with clear muscle texture. And the red dress on her body was a bit too close to her body, so close that it was even tightly wrapped around the flesh, as if steel wires were embedded in the flesh. As she walked, blood was dripping and the flesh was rotting away, leaving a long bloodstain. This is a corpse rotting with sulfuric acid. Shen Jian said in secret. My gaze shifted to the blood-stained red dress on the corpse. That's the trick. The body itself is just a carrier of eerie recovery. Boss, the red dress is mysterious. It wants to escape from that corpse and wear it on us. This is the law of murder. The skinny young man explained. The analysis results are the same as those obtained by Shen Jian. Shen Jian glanced at him. The other party does have 2 brushes. From the moment the ghost rope stepped into the room and revived, it can be seen that the opposing duo had already dodged a supernatural attack, otherwise there would have been no chance to appear here and shout for help. However, Shen Jian was somewhat uninterested. Dyeing the blood-red skirt, this thing is useless to him. He can't wear it. Carrying it with you. Well, it's a bit abnormal. Here we go. The thin young man gave a cold wave. Don't underestimate the deceit. The eerie speed is not slow, even though the movements are stiff and do not look like a posture that humans can achieve, there is an eerie speed. The red skirt, which was just 10 meters away, suddenly appeared within 5 meters. Terrifying poppet. A flat fall. The red skirt was lying on all 4s. The atmosphere on site was unstoppable. The terrifying atmosphere was suddenly dispersed. Shit. That's too much, isn't it? Can you still fall flat? This fall completely wiped out the eerie terror. Red skirt mystery. Gue is also confused. Stand up again. The fierce ghost roars, showcasing its power. Extend your hand and grab Shen Jian directly. Pa Ji. Another flat fall. Red skirt mystery. She has a shadow. This time, the thin young man saw clearly. It's Shen Jian. His shadow just moved. Stretching out a pitch-black ghostly hand, it tripped over the red skirt. Did he handle the tricks? The skinny young man is awe-inspiring, no wonder level 5 players are so strong. Surprisingly, he is a demon slayer who has mastered the mysteries. Red skirt stood up eerily. Carefully move your steps. Flutter. Fall in place. Roar, roar. The fierce ghost roared. She is really angry. Someone is playing with her. She wants to stand up and seek revenge. But she soon discovered that a dyed hemp rope was tied around the neck of the dark red corpse. Suspended in the air. Red skirt loses resistance. The body also fell silent, without any movement. This is suppression between fierce ghosts. Which one has a high degree of terror can form a suppressive effect. The horror level of ghost rope and ghost red skirt is the same. Whoever takes the initiative can suppress it first. Hang the ghost rope and move it back to Shen Fitness. The 2 corpses were like air balloons, suspended in mid-air by a blood-stained hemp rope suspended from the air. Very penetrating. Slender youth. He slowly typed a question mark on the chat interface. Is that all? Is this imprisoning a monster? It's too much of a children's play, isn't it? When are players in a 1-star dungeon so reliable? He couldn't imagine everything he saw in front of him. My mood fluctuates, unable to calm down for a long time. Watching red skirt Gue, who had been extremely fierce and terrifying a few minutes ago, being taken in an extremely playful way, his worldview, outlook on life, and values were shattered. He gradually understood a fact. There is a great god leading the flight. The great god not only controls the eerie, but also possesses supernatural props to imprison fierce ghosts and fierce ruffians. Shen Jian nodded contentedly. This ghost rope is still useful. Although he felt a bit restless after a series of recoveries, wanting to put a hemp rope around his neck, perhaps considering the previous torture, he did not act rashly. Be obedient and act as an upper suspension rope. Wang Chen observed the second corpse, his eyebrows furrowing uncontrollably. Because the body is too bloody. Seeing something strange is a psychological fear. This corpse is experiencing physiological discomfort. That's all the corpses with dark red muscle texture, undoubtedly challenging their physiological limits. The cause of death for this second corpse is very obvious. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net was soaked in sulfuric acid and died in the bathtub on the 3rd floor room. The skinny young man also spoke at this moment. A few people are all a bit excited. This is the first corpse with all 4 issues resolved. My wife died from homicide due to sulfuric acid, and her body was in the bathtub on the 3rd floor. Wang Chen said, there is still the storage room in the back hall of the hotel, which is the last body. I don't know how the other group is doing. Speaking, Wang Chen clicked on the chat interface. Worker. At Feifei, Shi, how are you on your end? Can you confirm who the body is? Shi. It should be her husband, but the current situation is very bad, and she has recovered. Universal love. Is the entire body revived? Shi. Yes, I couldn't find the specific mystery. It's the whole body being resurrected. Did you solve the supernatural on the 3rd floor? Universal love. What a big thing. Book clothes. A few minutes ago, I heard your screams of crying and calling for your mother. Why did it become so tough in a few minutes? She slowly cast a question mark. Is it the veteran player who made the move? And then. It seemed like experiencing some complex psychology. Shui. Help me. Everyone. No, looking at your leisurely conversation, I thought everything was under control. I started asking for help anyway. This somewhat undermines the image of a skilled player in the eyes of new players. Shui. Gue is playing with us as 1, 2, and 3 wooden characters. Although he is temporarily unharmed, Gue is gradually recovering and his level of terror is increasing. Once he completely turns around, I suspect that the difficulty of the dungeon will increase by 2 stars. Everyone.